Welcome to the final team selection video of the season in UCL Fantasy. The Champions League final is upon us this Saturday. Be sure to tune into the deadline stream and let's get this video to 150 likes. Real Madrid versus Liverpool in the Champions League final, a repeat of 2018. Liverpool are much better since then, and Benzema is arguably the best player in the world. It's going to be a great game. I'm going to talk about how I did in Matchday 12 and then look ahead to Matchday 13, talk about my transfer plans and how my team would line up and what I think is ultimately the best team you can assemble. There will also be a separate best limitless and wildcard team video with maybe a few changes to the team that you're going to see here today. But ultimately, I think with 5 transfers, we should be good to build the best team possible. Thank you very much for helping us reach 11,000 subscribers the other day on stream during the FPL deadline. Thank you very much for that. And now the new targets will be 15,000. That's the big target we're aiming for, but we'll also try to get to it step by step. So 12,000 is the kind of next or the nearest milestone. Let me show you here on screen the kind of recent transfers I've made. So the one you really want to pay attention to is the semi-final second leg, because that is Matchday 12. So I got rid of Diaz because he was on the bench for Diego Jota, and that cost me quite dearly because Diaz in the end came off the bench, he scored and he got the Man of the Match award, so therefore he got 8 points overall and I missed out quite significantly there. I also got rid of Danjuma and Ruben Diaz for Foden and Cancelo. Ultimately, I'm not too disappointed with that decision, but it was actually Bernardo Silva who got the points and Riyad Mahrez over the likes of Phil Foden. But that was a shame, to be fair, and I was hoping for a bit more from Foden. And to be honest, in UCL Fantasy this season, whenever I've got him, he hasn't really done it for me. Cancelo, though, he's always been very good, very happy with him overall, despite the fact that City were calamitous at the very end against Real Madrid. And that was a great comeback. Madrid definitely deserve to be in the Champions League final. They've beaten 3 favourites along the way, making some very impressive comebacks. Manchester City, though, did outplay them in both legs, and they really should have got the job done. But now let's look at how my team did in Matchday 12 specifically, but this was a breakdown of the transfers. Comment your thoughts down below if you want to see a UCL Fantasy season review, and we can also react to the Champions League final, Matchday 13, and all talk about how we ended up finishing in terms of rank and the overall points. That would be very great. If you want to see that, then comment it down below, and that could happen maybe sometime next week. So Karim Benzema was my captain, and once again, kind of like the first leg of the semi-final, so Matchday 11, what I was really looking at was Benzema and De Bruyne when they faced each other, but I favoured De Bruyne for the home game when City were at home, and then Benzema when they played at the Bernabeu, and it pretty much paid off. Benzema with 22 points overall. De Bruyne got taken off slightly early, and Manchester City scored straight after that because he was having a bit of a quiet game, but then Real Madrid made that comeback. Benzema obviously won the penalty, he scored it himself, and he's just been absolutely amazing this season. He's been instrumental. Without him, I don't think Madrid even get to the semi-final, let alone the Champions League final with a great chance of winning it. Jesus was disappointing, but he got the points in the first leg. Then you look at Foden as well, another blank for him when he's in my team, but there you go. You can't always deliver. Modric with only 1 point. That was quite surprising. He did very well for me against Chelsea in the second leg, but not so much in both legs against Manchester City. Fabinho, he's been an absolute monster. He got the goal against Villarreal and really had a disaster class. He really should have saved that amongst the other shots that he pretty much should have saved as well. But Fabinho's been a ball recovery machine and he got that goal, so ultimately a huge haul for him. And Mohamed Salah with the assist, but not too much else, and actually favoured Sadio Mane over Salah. I talked about this in recent videos, but I don't think it was worth doing Salah to Mane, especially for a -4 hit. I just don't think it was worth it. And then looking at the defenders, Cancelo with 3 points, so he got some ball recovery points that way. Laporte only with 1, and Trent with 4 points. And like I keep on saying, Trent is actually really good for ball recoveries, and that's why I favour him over the likes of Robertson and most defenders, because he also has that attacking threat to boot. And Ederson and Alisson both doing very poorly there with 1 point each. But Robertson, Jota and Militao, they're all on my bench, so I actually subbed off those 3 Liverpool players and I kept Militao on my bench. So overall, I'm quite happy with the selections I made and my decision making in terms of the substitutions and the captaincy. But as you can see on screen on the left hand side, only 53 points, and I went from around 700 to 931. So it was a red arrow, despite the fact that I got the captaincy and the substitutions right. I didn't have Riyad Mahrez or Bernardo Silva, and also Sadio Mane and Diaz. I think most people, even in the topper echelons of the leaderboards, would have done the same transfer, getting rid of Diaz for Diego Jota, and it just didn't pay off this time, and it's a bit unlucky. Maybe we're going to do the same thing here, as I'll talk about very soon, and in the end we're going to be punished once again, and it's Jota getting the goals. But I'm now going to show you how my team looks looks like without making any transfers. And at the very end, as always, I'm going to be showing you my transfer plans. I have 9 players available ahead of the Champions League final. However, a few of them are doubts, such as Diego Jota. Is he going to start or not? I'll talk about this more later on. But ultimately, he's in the team right now with Karim Benzema, who's currently my captain. And I think it's going to be between him, Salah, and maybe Sadio Mane. I think they would arguably be my top 3 picks. And I could see both teams scoring. I know Liverpool in both finals this year against Chelsea actually got clean sheets and went to a penalty shootout. But I think Madrid will score, and I also think Liverpool will. So I'm not really favouring the defenders so much, but what you also need to factor in is that the likes of Fabinho, Van Dijk, Trent, and all these players, they're really good for ball recovery. So even without the clean sheet, they could still maybe get an attack in return, especially in the case of Trent, as well as get those ball recovery points. However, I would favour the attackers in this fixture, and I would probably go for Benzema at this moment in time. Let me know who you're going to be captaining down in the comment section below. And as you can see, I've almost got a full midfield with Modric, Salah, and Fabinho, and then I've got Robertson, Trent, and Militao with Alisson in goal. And the rest are eliminated, of course. And despite the fact that I have a lot of Manchester City players, I think they have so many options, especially in the midfield, that I'm quite happy UCL Fantasy-wise that they got knocked out. Because with Liverpool and Madrid, you know who are the best assets. So you look at the defenders, it's Van Dijk, Konate, Trent, Robertson. You also look at Alisson in goal. You've got Fabinho and Mane and Salah in midfield. You've got Diaz up front. And for Madrid, you know it's Benzema, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Modric, and possibly Alaba or Militao, as well as Courtois. You already clearly know their best players, but with Manchester City, they have Bernardo Silva and Mahrez, who aren't even in my team right now. You've also got so many other options at your disposal, like Sterling. If he gets a start, he could also do very well. And also the defenders, you've got the likes of Ruben Dias, who I got rid of heading into this week, and a few others. So I think it's more clear-cut with Liverpool and Madrid. You know who the best options are, especially in the case of Los Merengues. But now I'm going to show you my transfer plans. I talked about the captaincy already and how my team is shaping up without any transfers, but let's spice things up a little bit with some moves. Without making any transfers, I have 0 million in the bank, but with these proposed moves, I would have 0.7 million left over. And as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, I've got 10 of the 11 highest scoring players that are left in the competition, and Benzema is the only one to have reached triple digits, 100 points. For a forward, that is absolutely incredible. He has been on another level in the knockout stages, one of the best knockout stage performances of all time. So let me explain the moves that I am thinking of making. So Vinicius Jr. would come in for his compatriot Gabriel Jesus, and Diaz could come in for Jota. But I have to say this very clearly, do not make any transfers before seeing the lineup, because why would you get rid of Jota for Diaz when there is still a chance, although I still think it's quite small, but still, there is a chance that Jota starts over Diaz, and you might want the Portuguese international instead of the Colombian. So wait for the lineups and then finalize your moves. But as things stand, and also according to a few assumptions, because I think Diaz will be in the starting 11, as things stand, I would have Diaz in for Diego Jota and make the reverse switch once again. And also Mane would come in for Kevin De Bruyne, and the other moves would include Konate coming in for Joao Cancelo. And the final 5th transfer, and remember, you don't really want to take hits if possible, would be Thibaut Courtois for Ederson, and he would start over Alisson, and it covers Real Madrid defence. And I also think Courtois' ceiling is higher because he makes more saves, and he can even get man of the match points. And I think in terms of penalty saves, although both of them are good, I think Courtois is even better. So the way this team would line up with these transfers would be Courtois in goal, Trent, Robertson and Konate in the defence, Modric, Salah, Fabinho and Mane in the midfield, and up front Benzema, Vinicius Jr. and Luis Diaz. Let me know what you think of this team and which differences are there between your squad and mine. That would be very interesting to see. But in terms of other options to consider, I think Rodrigo would be the main one up front, as well as Diego Jota. So those are the top 5 forwards, and I think it's quite, they speak for themselves really. And I think if I had to rank them, Benzema is clearly in first position. I'd maybe put Luis Diaz second, Vinicius third, probably Rodrigo 4th and Diego Jota 5th. That's the way I would rank the forwards. In terms of midfielders, I think these are the best midfielders at your disposal. However, there are a few more like Toni Kroos and Casemiro, who I think is even better than the German because of ball recovery points pretty much. And are there any other Liverpool midfielders? Naby Keita and Thiago are pretty decent, but I don't think they're on the same level as the midfielders you see on screen. In terms of the defenders, I think the main one that's missing is Virgil van Dijk. I think he's a great option. He's arguably in the top 3, and in terms of the Real Madrid defenders, there's Militao, there's also Alaba. I think they're the top 2 ones, as well as maybe Ferland Mendy Carvajal isn't bad, but I'd rather cover Real Madrid defence, and I've said this all season, with Thibaut Courtois instead of Militao and all these other options I just discussed. But let me know what you think. I also would favour Courtois over Alisson, and that's why I'm looking to make a goalkeeper transfer and start Courtois over Alisson, even though I could actually use that fifth transfer elsewhere and maybe bench Fabinho. Would you do that? If you think so, then be sure to let me know. But I think I'm going to go for something like this as things stand, and things could change, of course. Once the lineups are out, there might be a few surprises, but ultimately I think both teams will go full strength. Fabinho hasn't played recently due to an injury, but he should be fine for the final in Paris. And also Salah came off the bench and scored to win the Golden Boot alongside Heung-min Son, and I think he will definitely be fine for the final. And I don't think there's too many issues from both sides in terms of injuries, and they should be full strength, and it should be a fascinating contest. Ultimately, the further you go into the competition, the fewer options you have at your disposal, and it's also, I'd say, more difficult to be different. In the group stages, all of our squads would have been massively different, and the same goes for the early kind of knockout stages, especially the round of 16. But in the final, there's only 2 teams. You can get 8 players from one team now, so that's why most people would go for 8 Liverpool players potentially, and maybe 7 Madrid if you're wildcarding or using the Limitless. Check out that video, which is going to come out very soon. It's going to be 2 of those chips wrapped into one video, and like I said already, be sure to tune in for the deadline stream, and if there are any changes to the schedule, I'll let you guys know in advance. But thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or any of the UCL fantasy content throughout the season, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. We're going to be back next season and hopefully do even better. We're in a great position right now in the top 1k. I want to conserve, and to be honest, just to be quite clear, it's going to be very difficult, especially in the upper echelons of the leaderboards, to really push up, because most people will have identical teams at this stage. But there is still a chance to make progress and to do things that your competitors won't, and therefore gain rank and gain points over them. So just take that into account. You can still go up, but it's not going to be as likely as it would have been maybe earlier in the competition. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and you can also become a Patreon or channel member. Just check out the description below and you can see a list of the perks, such as exclusive early access to all my videos. That's still a special offer that's going out to anyone, even if you're a differential member. So every single tier will have access to that certain and specific trait right now. And also you can join the Discord server. The link is also in the description below. And the UCL Fantasy League, I'll also probably read out who has won the UCL Fantasy League at the very end, especially if there is a UCL Fantasy season review. Let me know once again if you want to see that on this channel. But take care, enjoy the football, all the best of luck. Hopefully it's a great Champions League final, and I'll see you next time.